Welcome to classification. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. Here's an ear. Okay, so classification occurs when we have lots of pieces of evidence, lots of examples, right? And we are deciding whether to, this is our L1, lots of L1, and we are deciding how to group them, put them into groups. So when we look at these, obviously, we have several items where we create categories. We have a red category. We have a green category. We have this yellow category. And we have the lavender category. Now, so here is our classification system. Okay, so in this situation we're dealing with a lot of evidence, and frequently we don't, if we're writing classification, they're longer papers because they take up a lot of space because we're dealing with a lot of pieces of evidence. But, so once we're inside, and this is we have in that example the classification of colors, right? So we have red as our first category. Now we have to define the category. So this is the relationship between classification and definition. So definition is used inside of classification. So red is just one, right, of the categories we've created. But we've also created lavender, and we've created that yellow color, and the green. So each of these will need to be defined. For instance, in the topic sentence. So you can say that your topic sentence will introduce the particular category. That's why I said usually longer papers. Okay, now let's take a look again at thinking about classifying Jesuits. Some Jesuit topic. So, a simple one, to keeping on our color, is that if we look inside the classroom, we have about 20 students, and I bet several of them will be wearing blue shirts. Some will be wearing, we'll just call this white shirts. And there might be some who have, let's see if I have pink in here. I don't have pink, but well, let's just say they have lavender. Okay, so we're classifying, that means if we have 20 students, we might realize that 10 of them have blue shirts, 5 and 5. So we've classified them according to that. Okay? We could also classify Jesuit students in terms of sort of non-academic interests. So we might have debaters, we might have newspaper people, we might have some athletes, and we might have musicians. Okay? So we're classifying there. And so then inside, once we talk about debaters, we're going to give a little bit of a definition of what is a debater. and his traits, and then we're going to have our L1 examples of that. Okay? So, now, we could also, for Jesuit, before we talked about the profile as definition, but we could also use the profile to classify students. Okay, so again, we've got 20 students, and now we might say that clearly, out of those 20 students, 10 very much reflect the definition of open to growth. And another 5 are intellectually competent, and then maybe another 5 are physically fit. Okay? So, we're using now the profile to classify students. So then once we get into this paragraph about open to growth, we need to first define what it means to be open to growth. And then we'll have our examples inside and follow the same pattern there. Okay? So, now, Gatsby. Again, we have, let's think of, here's one option. We have, because we're in tragedy, we are prone to a lot of sin and immoral behavior, right? So this is what sort of creates the downfall of a community. So we could classify sin, and we already have a nice little classification system called the 7 Deadly Sins. And we could use all or some of them to classify all the different categories. So, for instance, wrath is a deadly sin, or rage. And so, certainly, Tom falls under that. I think Mr. Wilson has some rage going on with him. And so we can go down the list. Obviously, lust, greed. Okay? So, again, we could place characters. Greed here, obviously, again, Tom, Gatsby, Wolfsheim, lust. Again, maybe you put Gatsby there. Myrtle. Okay, so this is the classification system. We could perhaps Roxy seems to want to add a classification system. Yes. We could classify the minor characters in Gatsby. So we can create categories of, according to sort of trait. So maybe there are minor characters who are directly agents of evil. Maybe there are pure victims. Maybe there are characters, this is somewhat like victims, but characters who maybe just reinforce the evil, that they're complicit in evil. So we might place minor characters. So we have Wolfsheim, it's a minor character. We have Mr. McKee. We have Myrtle's sister. We have somewhere is Owl Eyes. Where does he fall? So again, this could be another possible classification system of minor characters. The important thing is to understand, again, the relationship between classification. So you have categories, category 1, category 2, even if you have just 2 categories, right? Then you're going to define that category. That's where the definition comes in. Okie dokie. I think we are going to be ready next for the world of contrary. And that needs some clarity because it's often confused with what?